Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Raw Instinct. Take two today. We had some technical difficulties, but we made it out alive. Okay. And now we are live. We are diving straight into today's topic. Okay. It is exposing Elon Musk, his whole genius image, how he portrays himself in the media is all based off of a lie. Okay. He is faking his way straight to the top, fooling many people to believe that he is one of the world's smartest people. He's definitely now worth billions of dollars. However, the way that he got there is by smoke and mirrors. Okay, he perceived himself to be somebody that he is not, that he is one of the world's smartest rocket scientists. He is not. Okay, that he is one of the world's foremost leading geniuses. He is not. Right, he is somebody who used a PR agency to portray him in the media to be this very, very intelligent man, very, very high IQ person. In reality, he's just somebody who is manipulating you. He's manipulating people. He is manipulating markets. Okay, and he is getting his way straight to the top. He is somebody who is has massive sway and influence all across the globe, and we are all worse for it. Okay, he is not going to lead a revolution. He is just somebody who is a narcissist. He wants to be in control. He wants to be perceived as a wealthy billionaire. He wants to be known as the smartest person in the world, and he just wants his ego stroked. That is why we will be looking at him, seeing what he is up to, how he got there in the first place. Okay, why does this matter? Okay, we are living in times of crisis. We are living in times where many people have lost faith and hope. Many people are isolated. There is a loneliness epidemic going on in the world right now. Okay, many people cannot afford to live. They cannot find a partner to build a life with, start a family with. Dating is impossible in today's society. um People who who believed in the system, the government, the leaders that they have elected into the government have let them down, including Elon. Okay, he was part of Doge. He was supposed to be Donald Trump's right hand man, and where is he now? Okay, where is he while the US is heading to war, is in war with Iran right now? Okay, which is a war nobody has asked for, right? People who voted for Donald Trump, did you ask for this war in Iran? Okay, it is going to cause massive upheaval all across the globe. Many people will suffer. We are already living through a crisis, a cost of living crisis all across the globe, and this is only going to further increase the price of oil, further going to increase the transportation costs, which then has a knock-on effect in the cost of food, energy, and supplies all over the world. Okay, that is why I am observant of everything. I'm seeing what is going on in the world right now, and I refuse to participate, which is why I have created this channel. I am here to find like-minded people who understand what it is I'm doing, people who understand what it is that I'm saying. I want you to be a part of my revolution. I want you to become a king. Why does that matter? Okay, because once you are seen as a king, once you establish your own kingdom, your own nation, you will be seen as a leader, and alongside me, alongside the other 100 kings that I'm looking for, together we will revolutionize the way that the world works. Okay, we can together, band together, fight alongside one another to overthrow the current power structures in the world. That is how we are going to cause revolution. That is how we are going to change the fate of humanity. Okay, because we are good people, because we have good intentions for people, we will lead them to a more prosperous life, a new prosperous world to live in. Because the elites, they have planned for you right now to take away your freedoms. They want you in your bedroom in a 15-minute city. They want you to follow Agenda 2030 set out by the World Economic Forum, to have you isolated in your room by yourself so that you are easy to manipulate, so that you are easy to control. They want to literally force feed you brain rot content via the algorithms. And Elon Musk wants you to place a chip into your brain via Neuralink so that he can download his agendas, so that he can download his manifesto straight into your brain, to keep you dumb, and so that he can stay wealthy, so that he can stay doing the degenerate shit that he is up to. And that is just not a world that I want to live in. Okay, I want to live in a world where I'm free, where I have freedom to do as I please, where I have control over my own autonomy, right? That is what I want. And I want people who also believe and want the same sort of things to come together to fight the new wars that will be fought in the near future. Okay. There's a short period of time that we can come in and to overthrow these evil elites. That is what I want. I want us to become leaders and kings of this new world. How do we do this? Right. The way that we do it here on Raw Instinct is by becoming subject matter expert. Okay. When you become a subject matter expert, you are seen as a point of authority. And once you're seen as a point of authority, people will defer towards you, towards your leadership. It is the same playbook that Elon Musk has used. He has used his influence and money to portray himself as a subject matter expert within rocket science, within engineering, and that is how he is seen as such an amazing genius, where people follow him blindly, even though that he is one of the most cringiest people in the world. Right, he is one of the most cringiest people in the world. Not only that, he's also one of the most idiotic people. Okay, he is not very self-aware of what is going on, and he does not care about the normal plight of normal people. All he cares about is being the most well-known, most well-respected, most wealthiest person on the planet. But we go one step beyond that, because we want to actually make the world a better place. We want to help humans. Okay, we do not want humans, AI, to take over the jobs from humans. Okay, we want people to prosper, and that is why we are making a stand. That is why we are creating nations. Why does it matter for you to be a subject matter expert? Because once you are a subject matter expert, and the way that you do it is by being in your zone of genius, by being somebody who is following your own innate interests, the things that you are most passionate about. Once you follow those things, things all fall into place, right? When you are following your passions and your zone of genius, life becomes easy for you. Okay, you can work harder, you can concentrate more, because that is something that you are meant to do. Everybody is born to do something, and we just uncover it here on this channel, and make you into a subject matter expert within your zone of genius, right? Because once you are a subject matter expert, then you are seen as a point of authority, and once you're seen as a point of authority, it's easy for you to crown yourself a king. And once you are king, a kingdom will follow suit, and you will have the other kings here at Raw Instinct, the Amichis that I'm building, the Raw Alliance of Kings that I'm forming, by your side, helping you every step of the way. But let's jump straight into this video.
He does not buy happiness. In this article, you even have a neuro.
Okay, this is the video I want to show you.
Insane idiots and check out something new. So I took a look at the recommendations you left to try and pick out a topic that was a little bit less political. Self-landing rockets, PayPal, Hyperloop, little tiny submarines that can rescue children from caves, and self-driving vehicles. Look at me, getting ahead of myself. There's a lot to do, so I'm going to head off and start my research, and I'll see you guys in a few days. Oh, well that's great. We've got another fucking idiot. He's not into the whole free speech thing. He didn't create Tesla. He didn't design the self-landing rockets. He didn't do any of it. But how? How is none of this common knowledge? How is it that I, just some geezer, has done more to understand this narcissistic man-child than his own fans? And why does he look like somebody's microwaved Kevin Durant? Okay, look, let's start from the beginning. I'll share with you guys what I've learned, but it might be a good time to grab a cup of tea, because we're gonna get bored. Now, I know what Elon's defenders would say right now. His dad didn't own an emerald mine. This is just hearsay.
So yeah, his origin story that he is a rags to riches man, that he is a self-made man, is absolute lies and bollocks. He is somebody whose father invested in a jewel mine, a emerald mine, and they made a lot of money from that. Okay, they were multi-millionaires. They owned private jets already before Elon ever was 18 years old. That is how wealthy they were. I mean, if you Google interviews done by Elon Musk's father, he will tell you himself, okay, that they had a safe in their house, a room in the house where they kept all the cash, and there was so much money in there in the safe. There was so much money in the room that literally, as you were closing the door, there'll be bills of notes of money just sticking out, that he would have to push back, because that is how much cash that they had at any given time. So, but why does he have to lie about this? Okay, like if he is from money, great, good for him, innit? Why do you have to lie? Because when you are selling yourself as a savior to the world, which is what he is doing, having this rags to riches story from humble beginnings makes him more likable, right? Because it gives you an insight, it gives you this relatability, where you think, oh, this guy, he started off just like me, right? And then he became this multi-billionaire, and then through vicariously through him, you kind of believe that you can do the same as well, right? That you can rise from rags to riches, and be the wealthiest person in the world, right? You can. That is why Elon Musk is using that narrative, that story, to build this connection with you, okay? But the truth of the matter is, he is lying about it. He is somebody who is faking his own upbringing in order to seem more relatable. And the thing you got to ask him, because you might think, oh, it's harmless, it's just he embellishes his background. Okay, why is that harmless? Because if he's lying about this one thing right from the beginning, about how he made his wealth, about how wealthy his family were in South Africa, what else is he lying about? Right? Because that's what it starts like. It starts off with one lie, spirals into another, and next thing you have one of the wealthiest, most trusted people in the world, like Elon Musk, okay, with all his support all across the globe, telling lies to its people. And that is why we need to expose him. That is why we need to stop him in his tracks. Mogmax is United. Welcome, Mogmax. I hope you are doing well. I hope you are all good. Cannot wait to see your new content now that you have rebranded your channel. I am looking forward to seeing you Mogmax the shit out of these weak beater looks maxes. Finally, there are more and more people commenting on the streams. Yeah, we had a new guy coming through yesterday. And the day before, I believe as well, a person called Steph, I believe. And yesterday, John, I think it was his name, came through, and was having a little back and forth. It was great, that's what it's all about. It's about being consistent, and slowly more people get exposed to this channel. More people will find my content, and hopefully they can come and show me what they are all about. Show me what changes they want to make, how they can become subject matter experts, how they can become kings, okay? Because that is what we need. We need to find like-minded people. And whether I have nobody commenting on these lives, whether I have only a few people watching my content every day, as long as I'm finding the right type of people, I don't really care, okay? So it's not about the numbers that I'm going for, it's about the quality of viewers. And you have certainly proved yourself to be a quality viewer. I recognize you as a friend, and together we are working in the background. We are helping you change your your channel, so that you can expose your and spread your knowledge about mogmaxing to the world, because we need more stronger and competent leaders such as yourself. So again, I congratulate you, I salute you, and I wish you all the best. Let's jump back into the video.
Elon has repeatedly questioned the source of this rumor. Well, dear friend, if I could ask you to yank Elon's ludicrously veiny cock out of your mouth and look at the screen for a second, I will show you the truth. See, the rumors...
the guy who's narrating this video, this documentary, absolutely hates him. You can just hear it in the fucking language he uses.
Actually came from himself in an interview with Jim Clash for Forbes magazine. He was quoted as saying, "This is going to sound slightly crazy, but my father also had a share in an emerald mine in Zambia. I was 15 and really wanted to go with him, but didn't realize how dangerous it was. I couldn't find my passport, so I ended up grabbing my brother's, which turned out to be 6 months overdue. So we had this plane load of contraband and an overdue passport from another person. There were AK-47s all over the place, and I'm thinking, man, this could really go bad."
So you can see it right there. That is from an interview that Elon Musk done himself prior to him becoming this new version of Tony Stark. in essence, like, Elon Musk's life was funded by blood diamonds, by blood jewelry. Okay, it sounds shady, the fact that he had to board a private plane with AK-47s, right? It sounds like, many people were exploited in him being in a position where he is one of the wealthiest men.
Wow, well, that's quite the story. I'd link you to it, but they removed it from their website very shortly after publishing it. When Snopes reached out for comment.
So yeah, so Elon Musk is now backtracking and trying to, remove any trace of his actual truthful existence from the internet. He is trying to scrub and whitewash his own reputation so that he is seen as this new worldly figure.
Nobody at Forbes responded. Also, just to seal the deal, his father posted this to his Facebook page to clarify his position on apartheid, in which he admits he owned a 50% stake in an emerald mine which collapsed in 1989 because Russians started to undercut them with lab-made perfect emeralds. And look, I'm not here to paint a picture that his father is a terrible person or anything. You can read his justification and decide that for yourselves. The link to the post is in the description. I'm just here to simply point out that his fans always say that he built himself up from nothing, but that just is not the case. He isn't a self-made billionaire in the same way that Crystal with a K isn't a self-made disappointing stripper.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these tech billionaires, a lot of these people in positions of power will have you believe that they come from humble beginnings so that they seem more relatable to you. Again, you have to really look into the lies that they're weaving and why they are doing what they're doing, because they want to paint a certain narrative. They want to position themselves to be the everyday man that you can relate to, when in reality, they are just people who, found themselves and lucked their way into their positions, and now they are reaping the rewards.
You have to give at least some of that credit to their dads. Well, maybe it helped him not being poor, but he still built his own businesses, right? Well, it's certainly true that he co-founded a number of companies, but this wouldn't have started without a $28,000 investment from his father. Adjusted for inflation, that 28 grand looks a lot more like 55 grand. He created Zip2 with it, and in 1999 sold it for $307 million, with a cut of $22 million for himself. From there, Elon forged forward in the business world. He co-founded X.com, merged with Confinity, and got ousted by the board for being about as useful as Anne Frank's drum kit. He was then replaced as CEO by Peter Thiel, who rebranded the company as PayPal. This, by the way, is what he's referring to when he says he was a co-founder of PayPal. Just to be clear about the complete fuckery happening here, this is no different to the bloke that sold paint to Leonardo da Vinci calling himself the co-founder of the Mona Lisa. Nevertheless, by the time PayPal was acquired by eBay, Elon was still the largest stakeholder and took home a tasty $175 million. This story of Elon being a CEO that couldn't find his ass with both hands on a radar won't be entirely unfamiliar to you by the end of this video. Elon went on to found SpaceX and gave himself the titles of both CEO and Chief Engineer. I mean, sure, he's not a rocket scientist in the conventional sense, but I'm sure he will have a lot to contribute besides having a cool leather jacket collection and a fucking massive forehead. Here's a clip of YouTube creator Everyday Astronaut making a huge improvement to Elon's thruster design by humbly asking a question.
But this is only for the booster, right?
Yeah. So you can see that, that Elon Musk is somebody who is really, building this narrative about him by giving him all sorts of titles, by calling himself a founder when he really isn't. Again, because the more titles you have, the more authority you can build, right? And the more authority you can build, the more people will see you as a point of authority, and the more people will likely look at you and want to be a part of what you're doing. Okay, they want to follow you. They need a leader. Okay, so him buying all these titles as founder, as head engineer, a CEO, right, where in essence he is just giving himself a title which he has no right to have it. He comes across as somebody who is has more credentials in essence, and because he's got more credentials, he is seen as somebody who is worth following, right? Again, you're going to see the lies that this guy has built his empire on.
Yes. Although arguably, now you mention it, we might be wise to do this for the ship too.
And here's a follow-up video of Musk with the same guy being a totally narcissistic asshole by saying it occurred to him while they were talking that he should make the changes that the interviewer clearly prompted him to conclude.
I'd say that's like one of the biggest improvements that we've made.
I gotta admit, that was when you were talking about that last time, and I kept thinking about
literally,
it.
I was actually it was like literally occurred to me in real time.
Yeah.
It occurred to me while I was explaining it to you. I was like, wait, what are we doing?
Elon passing somebody else's ideas off as his own is pretty much his trademark at this point. Elon claims that he spends approximately 80 to 90% of his time at SpaceX leading the design team. His notable contributions so far are, making Starship pointy, because Borat said it was cool.
Was a scene where he's they show him the new missile they've developed, and but it has kind of a round head, and he says, "You need to make it more pointy." To his engineers, and actually, that's what I also said the same thing. Starship, we need to make it more pointy.
Did you say that?
Mm-hmm.
Because of the movie?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Hold on. You literally told them to make the Starship more pointy because of the movie The Dictator.
Yep.
I mean, when you're watching that, doesn't it just come across as a bit, I mean, he comes across as a very fucking awkward guy anyway, right? And then, him saying, "Oh, I made my rockets more pointy because I saw it in a fucking movie." Is that what you want your head engineer to be saying, right? Like, he is, he's so cringe. He doesn't have a fucking clue what he is doing. He doesn't know how he comes across. He is just doing it to act cool, so that he is seen as this wild and wacky guy, to build this narrative, to constantly be in the media. Okay, he is somebody who has psychopathic tendencies, who has narcissistic tendencies. He is somebody who is literally out of control right now, and this is the person that people turn to as a leader, right? That is why he's seen as this bastion of free speech, because he bought Twitter. He is seen as somebody who is going to lead the next phase of evolution for humanity by taking us to Mars. It is all bullshit. It is all lies, okay? When shit's the fan, this guy's going to be the first one to jump into his own private bunker in order for him to escape the oncoming, mass fallout from his AI ventures. Him, Peter Thiel, Sam Altman, all these guys are in cahoots with each other to, literally strip you of your cash, of your time, of your attention, and, lead you down the path where you are isolated and lonely, where they can, literally, he wants to plug a fucking chip into your brain via Neuralink, right? And, have you, loaded up to his database, right? I mean, there's already a massive outcry about the ethics of the data that's being collected by these massive tech companies, right? What are they going to do when they're collecting your actual thoughts? What if they have a neurochip plugged into your fucking brain, right? They want to control you. They want to dictate what you believe, what you're saying, the algorithms that you watch, okay? They want to control you, and that is what these people have in store for you. It is out of control. This is why we need good people in positions of power. This is why we need good people to come in and change the world. Because if we don't, if you are somebody who's like, "Oh, I'm not good enough to do it, I don't know how to," if you're not somebody who's attempting to do something about this, right, you're going to have psychopaths like Elon Musk and his friends, take control of the world, right? That is what's happening right now in front of you. Okay, so if you're somebody who understands what's happening in the world, if you want to bring a stop to it, then you need to do something about it. Okay, it is your choice. This is the point in your life. This is the point in your story where you actually decide to, get up off your ass. And you think, fuck this, I've had enough, and I want to do something about it. Okay, I want to bring about change. I want to start a movement. Okay, I want to become a leader that the world needs, right? And because if it's not you, who the fuck will do it, right? Like who else can you trust? You can only trust yourself. You can only trust the thoughts that you have. That is why, we need you to be in a position of power, because you are a good person, hopefully, and you lead humanity towards a better future. Let's jump in the comments. Mogmax is United. Elon Musk has a sus build. Also shows no amount of money in the world can get a dominant body. Yeah, I mean, he's got what, these really skinny legs and just got like a massive torso and a massive belly, right? Again, it's he's probably got like the right length and bone structures, right, of like a tall person. That is why he's actually got this wide frame. He's built like a tank in one way if you look at it, but then he's got this soft belly, he's got skinny legs, because he's somebody who is a nepo baby, right? He has his whole life been given, lived a life of luxury. Okay, he has been given everything that he ever wanted. He's never had to work hard for anything. Okay, so that is why he's got this soft sus build, as you say, right? That is why he is looking like a fucking, what's he even look like it's just a big, like he's just a big blob of flab, isn't he, right? Yeah, that is supposed to be the leader that people worship. Okay, he's supposed to be the person who is supposed to lead us to glory. It is absolute disgrace. Let's jump back into the video.
Wow, he's so random. What a genius. Contrary to popular belief, he didn't create self-landing or VTVL rockets. They were being successfully tested by Maston Space Systems, Armadillo Aerospace, and others before SpaceX. Elon continues to be a total smeg at SpaceX to this day, ignoring calls to enforce the company's zero-tolerance policies regarding the sexist culture many women have complained about. When a group of employees penned an open letter complaining about Elon's actions online and describing him as a source of both distraction and embarrassment, the company saw fit to fire 9 of them. The company said that their work was too important to deal with this activism. Just to be clear, when they say their work, they mean that they're trying to build metal boxes that they can shoot to Mars because Elon Musk thinks it would be cool. You're doing the Lord's work there, guys. I'm sure your HR department are far too busy trying to get us to Mars to worry about those pesky sexual assault claims. But Geezer, what about Tesla? He made Tesla Motors. Well, that's the thing. This misconception is just another.
So again, like, he is seen as somebody who, he started Tesla. He used his money that he made from PayPal to invest in Tesla to make him, a very, this very smart engineer, right? Who's going to save the world by bringing electric motors to us, the humans, because he is so concerned about global warming and emissions by normal motors, right? Petrol based, gas bill based cars, right? That he's trying to replace them, right? Because he's so concerned about the future of humanity that he wants us to run on electricity. Again, like listen to this story now, right? He literally pushed his way into the board of directors, and then he claimed that he was a founder when in essence he really wasn't.
Whole pile of cock that's been fed to you by this absolute pigeon fucker. Too much? Eh, fuck it. Tesla was created by Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning. Then they got Musk on board with all $6.5 million he proposed to bring to the table in investments. There were a few disagreements. Too much? Eh, fuck it. Tesla was created by Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning. Then they got Musk on board with all $6.5 million he proposed to bring to the table in investments.
Okay. Yeah. So, he claims that he was one of the founders, but in essence, he just invested 6 million, 7 million and now he claims that he is one of the founders. Okay. Again, this is the hypocrisy. This is the lies that he is telling people. This is why he cannot be trusted. This is why he is somebody who needs to be watched.
There were a few disagreements, words were exchanged, feelings were hurt, and once Eberhard was removed from the company, a legal battle began. Eberhard filed a defamation, slander, and libel lawsuit against Musk for being a narcissistic man-baby with the brain power and personality of a cold lump of catsick. Not the exact wording on the document, but you get it. In the end, they settled out of court, with one of the allowances being that Musk could also call himself a co-founder. He has maintained the role of CEO ever since. You'll also see the same kind of problems around
So again, he got onto the board of directors, right? And then he ousted the person who was the actual founder, as long as that he could call himself a founder, right? So you can see the absolute hypocrisy that this guy is lying to you, that he is not a founder. He is just buying himself to appear to be this smart, intelligent scientist who is making the world a better place.
Tesla's toxic work culture as you do around SpaceX. One of the most concerning stories, however, is to do with Tesla's Gigafactory in Nevada. This was first reported by USA Today's The City podcast, in which journalist Anjanette Damon tells the story of OSHA attempting to access their facility after a number of women were injured. Despite having a warrant to inspect the premises and having a deputy to enforce the warrant, they were told to step down by the Attorney General after they were refused access by Tesla employees. Despite the fact that the Attorney General clearly doesn't have a spine, he somehow still managed to drag his useless carcass to a meeting with Tesla to negotiate a health inspection. You know, like, you can check the foyer, but you're not allowed in the room where we keep the bucket of king cobras. The whole thing is pretty sus, as Elon would say. In 2018 alone, the Gigafactory generated, on average, more than a call a day to 911. I suppose the state is more interested in the amount of jobs the factory can create, because it's good for their reports. If you get injured or killed, that's a you problem. But what does Elon say about all of this? He's quoted as saying, "This is not some situation where, for example, we are just greedy capitalists who decide to scrimp on safety in order to have more profits and dividends and that kind of thing. It's just a question of how much money we lose, and how do we survive? How do we not die and have everybody lose their jobs?" Oh, well, fuckity-doo. Excuse me for thinking that the richest man in the world, the billionaire genius that single-handedly revolutionized how we fucking crash cars, can figure out a way to have less amputations in his futuristic superfactory full of genius fucking robot people. Maybe you could use some of the $1.3 billion fucking dollars granted to you by Nevada to entice you into moving there, you absolute fucking cunt. This is just one example.
Yeah, and the other thing that he does is he uses a lot of government contracts to, you know, because he's now built this narrative that he is this incredibly intelligent genius. You know, he then can, you know, because the people in government don't have a fucking Scooby anyway, right? They're fucking idiots themselves. And then they believe in this hype, this narrative that is built around Elon Musk, okay? They buy into the hype, and then they're like, okay, yeah, let's give him the fucking money that he wants because he is a competent person. And they all want to believe that Elon Musk is this competent person, that he is this really smart leader that they can believe in, because they themselves know that they have no fucking idea what they are doing, and they're just trying to palm, you know, just give away responsibility to someone else, right? That is how humans work. That is how humans are built, right? And once you understand and know this about humans, then you also know that they're waiting to give somebody responsibility. That is why it is easy for you, right? If you are a competent person, if you are somebody who can make yourself to be seen as a subject matter expert, you know, people will give you that responsibility. They're waiting for somebody to come along, for them to give that responsibility to, for them to, you know, bow down to you in essence, you know, to follow your authority, because they themselves are lost. They need a leader. They want somebody to take care of them, to tell them what to do. This is the perfect opportunity for you to raise yourself up from whatever you're doing right now to become a leader of the world, a leader of people, to lead people towards a new world, a new way of life, okay? Because they're crying out for it, right? And that is why we are taking advantage of this hack in the human mind. That is why we are the ones who are going to crown ourselves kings, because we are the ones willing to take that first step to crown ourselves and be seen as points of authority so that we are seen as kings. That is what we're doing here on this channel. If you want to be a part of it, let me know. We need to be the new leaders of the world.
Of this company's total lack of care shown towards its employees. With just a single Google search, you can find dozens of instances in which current and former employees talk about friends and colleagues falling unconscious during work and having to work around their bloodied bodies. Or how the flagrant racism displayed by even the company's HR representatives has resulted in a lawsuit for Tesla. Or how Tesla refused to allow OSHA access to their accident records. Not that it matters, since they failed to even keep account of acute amputations, never mind near misses. During the days before he spunked $44 billion on Tesla, he spent a massive portion of his time arguing there as well. He notably got into a Twitter war with Senator Elizabeth Warren, somebody I wouldn't usually go far out of my way to defend, on the issue of taxes. She implied he was a tax-dodging little weasel, and he rebutted by saying that he will pay more taxes this year than any American that has ever lived. While that sounds impressive, it's not exactly an injustice. He was, at the time, the richest man in the world, and should pay taxes that are proportionate to his.
Yeah, I mean, if you are the most wealthiest person in the world, then, you know, you should be paying the most taxes in the world as well, right? But he is somebody who is utilizing, you know, the tax loophole system in order for him to keep his money, in order for him to stay wealthy. That is what he is doing. That is how he is staying in power. That is how he is gaining influence, okay? Because the more money you have, the more wealth that you can accumulate, the more power you can control within your sphere.
Wealth. You get no brownie points from me for actually paying the taxes that you're supposed to pay. But since we're on the subject of taxes, maybe it's worth noting that Tesla didn't pay a penny in federal taxes in 2021, despite it recording its most profitable year on record and netting $5.5 billion. How did they do that? Well, there's a really cool thing that you can do called tax avoidance. Let's take 2021 as an example. Despite a net income of $5.5 billion, Tesla recorded a loss of $130 million from its US operations. That means that they pay no federal taxes because they reported a loss. Tesla has structured their business in a way that allows them to report that the $6 billion in pre-tax profits that they actually made as a business came from overseas.
Yeah, so again, they're using like loopholes in the tax system and recording actual money that is coming in as losses. And once you record it as a loss, okay, the government cannot tax it. Okay, that is how these companies are avoiding tax. That is how they are, you know, staying out of contributing, right? Because you yourself, right? I mean, you can. There's certain things that you can write off as tax losses, okay, but the amount that these people are hiding, I mean, you know, just that figure itself, there, $6 billion. You know, that are, you know, that should have been taxed is not, because they write it off as a loss. That is how these people are accumulating more and more wealth. They're using loopholes because they can afford to, while normal people like yourselves are, you know, just being fodder, being slaughtered for the masses.
This is despite the fact that 45% of its revenue came from US sales. Martin Sullivan, an expert on US corporate tax practices, says that this multinational business structure is so common it's almost malpractice not to do it. Just to rub.
Let's jump into this other video that I had to show you as well.
Confirming this. And while I do think they're full of shit, let's examine what money can buy. Apparently, money can make you go through puberty. I mean, look at the difference. Oh, what's this? You just broke up with your boyfriend? Oh my god, that sucks. But would it still suck if I placed you on a yacht next to a Caribbean island? Oh my god, what? You just got laid off of work because the economy sucks and you can't afford your rent payment? Man, stop bluffing. We all know you live here. The only thing getting kicked out are poor people because you live in a gated community. I mean, seriously. $400 billion all by himself on January 2025. And he's living proof that the neuroscientist in that article wasn't all full of shit. You see, Elon can buy yachts and mansions and hell, maybe even small countries if he wanted to, but even all this money couldn't buy his deepest desire. He wanted to be loved and worshipped by everyone, even if it meant that he risked losing everything in the process. I mean, seriously, how do you go from having an article written like this about you, where the title is How Elon Musk Became the Most...
And you have to understand that, an article like that, let's put it up again. How Elon Musk became the most badass CEO in the world. He paid to have that article written. Okay, he paid a PR company to build his reputation, to build his image of him being this, great CEO. That is why somebody's writing this. Because you yourself, if you've got enough money, you can pay the fucking journalist to write this piece about you, to embellish, and make you look like this genius person, which is what Elon is doing. This is how he is remaining relevant and staying popular.
Badass CEO in the world to having everyone talk about your downfall. This is the story of Elon Musk, the world's most shameless and pathetic grifter. Let's talk about it. Most people were introduced to Elon Musk through Tesla, the electric car manufacturer. He had invested millions into it early on and became its chairman a few years later. Tesla was a pioneer in electric vehicle manufacturing because it came at a time where other cars looked like this. Who the hell would drive any of these? I mean, seriously, they are so ugly. And yet Tesla was coming out with these incredible looking cars that were electric and still managed to not look ridiculously ugly, making traditional car buyers genuinely take a step back and think, wait, I could see myself driving this, even though it's electric. But that wasn't the only thing Elon was known for. No. After he sold his stake in PayPal to eBay, he used $100 million of his own money to create SpaceX, one of, if not the biggest space technology companies on this planet as of today. Dude was simply everywhere and was seemingly spearheading these companies single-handedly with his very talented employees. Being the head of such companies contributed to his reputation quite positively. Elon Musk was seen as a sleek and mysterious billionaire like a Model S from Tesla, all while managing to appear...
It wouldn't surprise me if what he really truly done was, just pay people off to be the front image, okay, the marketing image, the face of the company, when in essence he actually has absolutely no control. And there are other people who, are running those companies on behalf of, of Elon. Who are remaining in power, but hidden away because they don't want to be in the media spotlight. So Elon is, kind of the face. In essence, he is just a very wealthy actor. He is the most richest man in the world. He is the richest actor in the world. Okay, he is somebody who is buying his fame. He is somebody who's buying his relevance all across the globe.
Awesome and explosive like a SpaceX rocket. At one point, he made a cameo in one of the Iron Man movies, and to many it was perfect because...
Again, how does Elon Musk, the CEO, make a cameo inside a fucking Marvel film, right? You have to understand that, again, Elon and his PR company paid to be a part of that film because he wants to, in your mind, when you're watching this, he wants to be associated with Tony Stark. Okay, that he wants to be associated with Iron Man, that he is this mad genius who is a very wealthy billionaire. Okay, that he is a super smart scientist who's going to revolutionize the world, just like Tony Stark did. So he is trying to play this game. He's trying to do this grift, so that he, seems larger than life. Okay, he wants you to buy into his fantasy that he is peddling.
They could see him as the IRL Tony Stark. A charismatic, genius, playboy billionaire. And for a time, that's exactly how people perceived him. Just like Tony Stark, he would work ridiculously hard, having the infamous reputation of sleeping in his own office at the factory floor days on end. At the same time, he was managing to be a playboy, dating Amber Heard at some point. I wonder if she left him a surprise in his bed when he woke.
Again, so he wants to be associated with supermodels, again, to curate this billionaire image, playboy image. Okay, he is he wants to be presented as this fun, exciting guy by the media. Okay, so that he comes across more likable, so that you can buy into him, into his narrative that he is trying to build.
Up. He also not only dated the singer Grimes, but had multiple children with her. He wasn't just a hard worker and a playboy, but he also was impulsive in a cool way, much like Tony Stark. Again, during his SpaceX launch, he decided to just send a Tesla car to space because why not? And I want you to look at this paragraph written in a BBC article about him. Look at this. They say, he has cornered private spaceflight and the electric car industry, ventured into solar energy and artificial intelligence, and promised super high-speed magnetic train travel in a tube underground. Oh, and he plans to colonize Mars. This paragraph is crazy for a multitude of reasons. First off, they're glazing him so hard you might as well think that they're carrying his firstborn child, but at the same time, it seems like he's a fictional character when in reality he exists. But something wasn't adding up in all this, something wasn't making sense. According to the survey from Statista, 50% of people from 18 to 29 years old think that the existence of billionaires is a bad thing. And this is
So again, so when the majority of people believe that billionaires is a bad thing, right? That he then wants to come across as somebody who is, he is the exception. He is somebody who is fun to, he's trying to make himself into this character that you kind of want to pay attention to, right? That is why everybody, if you go on Twitter, if you go on X, right, everybody's licking Elon Musk's ass, okay, because he's the owner of that platform. So everybody's like, oh, Elon saved free speech. In essence, he's done fuck all. He is somebody who is, playing this role in to further advance his image in order for him to remain relevant, so that he can, get more money from other wealthy people, so that he can get more money from government, so that he can get certain government contracts. He got himself to be in a position where he is alongside Donald Trump, okay, that he is alongside him, making decisions on policy all across the world. Right, because obviously, American policy has an impact pretty much all across the world. That he was making policy with his Doge initiative that he came up with. Okay, and again, why did he choose the name Doge? Okay, because he is somebody who bought into the meme coin Doge, that cryptocurrency. So he is somebody who, he was really using, for him, this is all a fucking joke. It's all a meme, okay? He is not a serious guy to be reckoned with. He is somebody who is pushing false narratives.
Totally understandable. The younger generation's always online, and billionaires really struggle to have a good public image. I mean, you have Jeff Bezos, who's like a creepy modern-day slaver with a wonky eye. You have Bill Gates, who's seen as a vampire obsessed with
I mean, so when you have all these, wealthy billionaires, like Elon Musk, like Bill Gates, who's associated with Jeffrey Epstein as well, right? So you have all these wicked evil billionaires. That is why Elon Musk is somebody who faked his image to make him appear more relevant.
Mosquitoes. Do I even have to bother? I mean, seriously, he does not even look human, bro. Like, are we from the same planet? Elon Musk was contending with whatever the hell this is, and obviously, he was winning. The other billionaires were so jealous because, unlike them, the public loved him. Nothing he did aligned with the norms, and yet it kept working out every single time. I mean, the guy woke up one day and was like, you know what? I want to make flamethrowers and sell them to consumers.
Yeah, so when you have someone do stunts like this, when you have the average idiot fucking watching him, make flamethrowers, you think, oh wow, he's such a cool guy, right? And he's trying to portray himself to be this cool guy. He's trying to appear to your mind to be this fun guy, so that you when he does bullshit, when he does evil shit, that you won't pay attention to him because there is so much positive PR around him.
Announced it on Twitter, made 20,000 units priced at $500 each, and within 5 days, it sold out completely. Give me another CEO that can do this. Who the hell even needs a flamethrower? But people bought it anyway because it was cool. He was cool, and they wanted to associate with him. Let's not forget how this dude released a song called Rip Harambe under his record label titled Emoji Records. Okay, sure, it was one of the worst things I've ever heard in my entire life, but hey, it's sitting at 3 million views. Give me one other billionaire that can do that. At some point, Elon got in trouble with the SEC. He was tweeting about how he wanted to take Tesla private. He was frustrated with his shareholders and said that the private price was going to be $420. He chose this price because of 420 being a reference to weed.
I mean, so these are the type of decisions that this guy's making, okay? He's like, oh yeah, let me make it $420 because it's a reference to fucking weed, okay? I have my lights are all over the fucking place today. They are turning off and on. I'm going to have to check out what the fuck's going on. But yeah, like literally, like he is just making constant references to 420, to weed, to try appear cool so that you will buy into him and his bullshit that he is peddling.
Because he wanted to amuse his girlfriend. The guy was an absolute nutcase. And it worked. Oh, and speaking of weed, you would have been living under a rock if you didn't see this at least once in your life. If you were on the internet when this happened, it would have been impossible to not see everyone and their mother, sister, and brother sharing memes about this very moment in which Elon Musk smoked a blunt on Joe Rogan's podcast. This cool billionaire wearing an Occupy Mars shirt, smoking a blunt, broke the internet and became a defining moment in pop culture history. Another defining moment was
Yeah, I mean, so he's wearing a Occupy Mars shirt, showing that he's trying to colonize Mars, that he's trying to get and get humans to live on Mars, and then he's smoking weed on his fucking on the Joe Rogan show as well. He's doing this again, because he wants to seem cool. He wants to be somebody who is, to seem relevant with ordinary people, so that when whatever plan he has in the background, okay, whether he wants to take over the world, whether he wants to be the dictator of the world because he's got enough money to do it, right? He is trying to build himself in a position of power where you easily submit and trust this guy. He's trying to build trust so that you can follow him, so that he can push his agenda, so that he can do whatever the fuck that he wants to do, right? Do not buy into it. Do not trust this guy.
Was him appearing in one of PewDiePie's meme reviews, currently sitting at over 28 million views. He appeared at the end, and look, this is like the most replayed part, just him being here reviewing memes. People would keep spamming clips of every meme he reacted to and his reaction associated with it, and even made memes of his reactions. The internet couldn't get enough of this guy. It was getting annoying, to be honest. Oh, and guys, just as you thought that he couldn't get any cooler, guess what? Dude was also a gamer. He streamed Diablo 4 and apparently was one of the highest ranked Diablo 4 players on the planet. How could he manage being a billionaire, a playboy?
Again, right, so this was a massive scandal that he had, that the Diablo 4, that he presented himself to be a somebody who is really good at this game, right? I think he was ranked like in the top 20 in the world. And then when people played him, when they watched him play, it was all bullshit. It was all lies. He paid other people to log into his account to boost his ranking in the world. Okay. Again, so this, if he's willing to fucking lie on a video game to make himself like, oh yeah, I'm this cool gamer guy as well, right? To seem more relatable. What else is he lying about, right? At this point, he's not a founder of Tesla. Okay, he is a nepo baby because his family was very wealthy when he was when he grew up. He wasn't a founder of Tesla. He isn't a space rocket engineer, right? he all these titles that he's giving himself, like a head engineer, it is all bullshit, it is all fake. This is why we need real people in charge, real good people who can lead the world to a better place, to a new world that we can all prosper under.
A hard worker and a very good gamer. Damn, he
Yeah, I mean, he's lying about him gaming, right? Like why does he? Why would you want to appear to be good at gaming if it has no relevance, to you being a space engineer? Okay, if it's got no relevance into you making cars, why does he feel the need that he has to do this? It is because he wants to be liked. Okay, he wants to be seen as popular. He wants to be seen as a cool guy. This is a fucking geek and a nerd who really has had issues his whole life. I think even when he was a child, he got beaten up once, really badly by his bully. This is probably a deep wound that he has, a deep scar that he carries with him for the rest of his life, so that he is somebody who is always going to want to be popular, want to be seen as cool, because he was neglected as a child.
could do it all. But wait, he's not just any gamer, he's also an OG gamer, claiming to have played Quake and claiming to have been one of its best players. Not to mention that he thinks Elden Ring is the most beautiful art he's ever seen. Guys, Elon Musk plays Elden Ring. Could this guy get any cooler? Was he even aware of how cool he was? Well, yes, and it really got to his head. He was just like Icarus from Greek mythology. He realized he had wings, he flew to the sky, loved the wind, loved the clouds, he wanted to go further high up, and ended up flying right into the sun. If you think about it, Elon was trying to appease everyone from every community. He wanted social media users to like him, weed smokers to like him, video game players to like him, almost like a grifter would, except
Exactly. He wants all these people to like him because he is a narcissist, because he is somebody who craves attention, because he was neglected as a child, because he was not popular as a child. And this is meant to be the new leader, the savior of humanity. I do not buy into him. I do not want to be associated with him. This is why we are launching our new Royal Alliance of Kings. This is why we are becoming the new ruling elites, because people like him need to be put into his place.
he got away with it until he couldn't anymore. Look, Elon was always ambitious in the things that he set out to do. He's been saying that SpaceX will lead humanity to Mars for as long as I can remember. But this rhetoric behind humanity and what he can do for humanity started getting out of control. This idea of him wanting to help humanity flourish made him appear the same way other billionaires did. Out of touch. He would tell people to have more children, with him having many. But when a billionaire says that to someone who can barely make ends meet by themselves, that's not brave or courageous.
I mean, you've got, right, on one hand, you've got Bill Gates saying that there should be less people in the world, that the world is overpopulated. And then you've got this guy saying have more kids in a world where many people, there is a falling decline in birth rates all across the globe, because many people cannot afford to, raise children anymore, right? Many people feel like that they cannot compete in the dating market. They can't afford to date. They can't afford to raise families. They can't afford to buy houses, right? They can't afford to do all these things. And that is why there is a lack, a decrease in the fertility growth all across the world. And then this guy comes along, have more children, okay? And because that kind of the conservative view of the world, conservative voters kind of resonate with that message, and they will back him when he tries to get into power.
That's not saving humanity, that's just being out of touch with today's economy. This rhetoric of helping humanity would truly and decisively bite him in the ass when he bought Twitter, claiming that he was doing it to help humanity. The entire process took months, and it cost him over 40.
Again, he's doing all these things just to help humanity. He's trying to be this great philanthropic guy who has the best for the people. Even when he bought Twitter, he didn't actually pay for it with his own money, right? He borrowed that money from another wealthy friend who really believed in this guy. Okay, so imagine that. Imagine you build this amount of power within yourself. Okay, that you are somebody who has authority, and people are willing to lend you $2-3 billion just on a whim, because they believe in your messaging, they believe in how you present yourself. Okay, that is why we are presenting ourselves as king. That is why we are presenting ourselves as points of authority, because once we have authority, and we'll, unlike Elon, will have real authority, that is why we will also be able to get access to that much amount of money, because it is our destiny. That is what we are here for.
$24 billion, with him backtracking halfway through saying there were too many bots on the platform, but eventually it finally did go through. He was the owner of Twitter. And with that, it was official. Elon Musk's newest grift was going to be Twitter. But this time, he wasn't sleek and mysterious. He wasn't cool and explosive. He was someone who genuinely seemed like he had no idea what he was doing. And people weren't really used to seeing that. Guy almost backed off from buying Twitter, even suing them at some point because of how many bots were on the website. But as soon as he bought the website, you had, for as long as I can remember, porn bots everywhere. He had revamped the verification system where you pay $8 to get a check mark. He claimed this was to completely purge the bots. But all the porn bots had a check mark, and they would appear as soon as you tweet saying, link in bio, or even, I'm looking for sex, but do you want? It was a disaster, and internally at Twitter, even though he had laid off most employees, it wasn't any better. Leaks would start to surface showing what kind of boss Elon is, in which Elon would summon top-level engineers telling them, why isn't my tweet appearing as often as another tweet? Boost the algorithm for me now! And while some doubted that the leak was fake, like come on dude, you cannot be the richest man in the world and be so insecure, they started scrolling through their feed on Twitter and noticing, wait, why am I seeing so many Elon tweets? I don't even follow him.
So again, like he is somebody who is so insecure that he bought the platform Twitter in order for him to boost his own presence on social media, because he knows that the algorithms are feeding you straight information into your brain, and the more that he appears on the algorithm on your news feed, that he will be more relevant and front and center in your brain. That is the position he wants. That is why he wants to bring in Neuralink, so that he can literally plug himself into your fucking brain and that you can worship the religion, the god that is Elon Musk. That is how he wants to be seen. That is how he wants to present himself. But that is it for today. Like, I have had a shit show with my fucking lighting today. It's been all over the place. Technology was not good today for me, right? But that is it for today. Tomorrow we'll be back stronger than ever. We will replace these lights, and but I think I've done all right given the circumstances. But that is it for today. Yeah, Elon Musk, he is an insecure prick. Do not buy into his rhetoric. But that is it for today. Thank you very much, and I will see you tomorrow.